Okay, I believe we're ready to go.
Okay. Morning, everyone. Thank you all for your attendance today. I'd like to call to order the March 31st, 2025 meeting of the County of Perth Land Division Committee. I'd like to make note that what was shown on the screen for those viewing at home is our remote meeting platform, whereby whoever is speaking will be shown predominantly with smaller images of the members and staff attending along the edge of the screen. The agenda for this hearing has been posted online at perthcounty.ca. If you want to follow along, please feel free to access it now. Remind all committee members, staff, and others participating in the meeting to please mute your microphones when not in use to reduce feedback. As this meeting is being held remotely, the Secretary Treasurer will call each of the members' names, and each member will respond if they are in favor or opposed to the motion. The Chair will announce the result of the vote. Before we proceed, we will confirm attendance of the committee members by roll call.
Councillor McKenzie?
Here.
Councillor McDermott?
Here.
Councillor Wilhelm?
Present.
Councillor Trentowski? I see you're muted. Councillor Trentowski? Yeah, he's here. And Duncan.
Here. Thank you. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest, please declare them now or at any time throughout the meeting. Yeah, I don't see any. Can I get a motion to confirm the agenda, the March 31st, 2025 agenda be approved? Moved by Councillor Wilhelm, seconded by Councillor McDermott. I think you're muted, Michelle.
Yeah, my button double clicked. Councillor McKenzie, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor McDermott?
Yes.
Councillor Wilhelm?
Yes.
Councillor Trentowski? Yeah. Okay, and Chair Duncan?
Yes, that's carried. Okay, we have some previous minutes from the committee meeting on February 24th. So I'll get a motion to put those on the floor. The motion is the Land Division Committee approve the minutes from the February 24, 2025 Land Division Committee meeting. Moved by Councillor McKenzie, seconded by Councillor McDermott. Questions or comments to the minutes? Councillor Wilhelm?
I was absent at that meeting, and I believe Deputy Warden Trentowski was present.
Okay. Councillor McDermott, did you have a question or comment to the minutes?
No, I was just going to raise Councillor Wilhelm's concern that it looked like Dean was away, but yet he was there. So
okay. So we'll amend those minutes.
So it would be to approve those minutes with amendments.
With the amendment. Okay, and we've got it moved and seconded. So as long as there's no more questions or comments, I guess we'll have the vote.
Councillor Wilhelm, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor Trentowski? I think he's frozen.
Looks like it.
Yeah. Okay, Councillor McDermott?
Yes.
Councillor McKenzie?
Yes.
And Chair Duncan?
Yes, that's carried. So moving along, we have application for consent to sever B6024, B6124, and is it B0425 auto? And Jeff Bannon's going to present those for us.
Thank you. I'll just share my screen here. Thank you. So the properties located on the west side of Perth Road 107 between line 29 and Dietrich Road in Sebastopol, municipally known as 3584 Road 107. Purpose of the subject applications is to create 3 residential lots and retain 1 lot for residential purposes. The ownership has changed from Amy Auto to a numbered company, which is 227481 Ontario Incorporated. Property is designated as hamlet in the County of Perth official plan. It's zoned as HVR. Public notice was provided to neighboring property owners on February 3rd. Hydro One and Upper Thames River Conservation Authority have no objections to the applications. Oxford County has noted that sufficient capacity for water service is available, but that an official plan amendment will be required from Oxford County in order to allow for the water connections. Perth County Public Works have noted that the severances are not expected to adversely affect traffic operations in the area, and that a traffic impact study is not required for the development. 3 neighboring property owners have expressed concerns with the proposed development. The neighbors are concerned with traffic and safety, impacts of the additional cost to extend the public services, septic system capacities, and increases to property taxes, parking overflow, and snow removal. In relation to traffic, the development, as noted, is not expected to adversely affect traffic operations in the area, and that traffic impact study is not required to support the severance. In response to the concerns with taxes, the development is not expected to increase that property taxes in that area for the adjacent properties. The minimum parking requirements have been met for the development for single detached dwellings, and snow removal is provided by the Township of Perth East. The proposed enhanced tertiary system is able to support the proposed severances, and the proposed development is considered to be infilling in the settlement area, and lot size, frontage, and depth is consistent with lots in the immediate area. The lots have frontage on a public street, and the proposed lots will meet all other zoning bylaw requirements. The lot fabric represents lot sizes that are consistent with lots in the area and supportable by the County of Perth official plan policies. Following the completion of the planning report, planning staff have discussed the proposed conditions with both the applicant and the township staff. And planning staff are recommending that additional condition is included with the county conditions, which is listed as condition number 6. And that condition reads that a letter is provided to the County of Perth Public Works Department advising that the Secretary Treasurer of the County of Perth Land Division Committee that all financial requirements of the County of Perth with respect to the provision of water and sewer services to the subject property have been complied with. This condition can be cleared by providing financial securities for the required services or entering into a severance agreement with the County of Perth that states that no building permit shall be issued until payment has been received by the county. In order to clear this condition, a copy of the severance agreement, which addresses the above requirements to the satisfaction of the County of County of Perth Public Works Department, must be provided to the Public Works Department. At the March 18th regular county meeting, Township of Perth East County Council meeting, the Township of Perth East passed the resolution that each of those consent applications are being supported by Perth East Council. So planning staff are supportive of the proposed severance application, subject to the conditions being met of each of those applications, and I'm available to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. All right, Michelle, do we have anyone wishing to speak on this application?
We do. We have Scott Patterson, and he's actually here for both of the applications on the agenda today. So I'm going to bring him in now.
Okay.
Hi, Scott, you're in the meeting now. Are you able to unmute? Oh, here you come. Yeah. We can see you, but we can't hear you yet. He is joining us from not Ontario. Gave him my phone number to call if audio wasn't going to work.
Okay, we'll just give him a minute here then. It seems I'm going to have some internet troubles here too, very shortly. I may lose connection here. My computer just told me this. If I do lose connection, Councillor Trentowski, can you take over the meeting until I get back?
Yes, Chair Duncan.
Okay.
I'll just look up the script notes here, but yes, I
Thank
will
you.
carry
I'll
on.
send them to you now.
No, thanks.
Technology is wonderful until it quits working on us.
That's right. I don't see any messages from Scott, so
Can you hear us, Scott?
I don't see anything coming in from Scott. I'm not sure if anybody has any questions directly for him.
I guess, is there any questions from the committee members? I guess we can get started. Councillor Wilhelm?
Yes, just clarification. Is each new lot going to have its own septic, or is it going to be a communal?
Through the chair, I can answer that. Yeah, each lot will have its own septic, so it's not a shared communal service. They're using a tertiary system which uses a smaller footprint, and that's why they're able to reduce the size of each of those lots and still provide their own septic service. And then water service is intended to come from the county of Oxford, but they have to get approval from the county for that official plan amendment before they can extend the services out. But there is capacity in the system, so they expect that they'll be able to receive approval for that. And just I'll provide a little bit more information since we have some time. That condition that we're suggesting is to ensure that if they're doing any roadworks to connect to those services, that the county's interests are taken care of financially, so that if they rip up the road, that they'll repair that afterwards. So that's why we included that additional county condition.
It looks like Scott can talk now, maybe. Oh, yeah, we hear you.
Good morning, committee. Sorry about that. I'm actually joining you from the Bahamas. It's much warmer here than at home, and I apologize about the technical difficulties this morning. Do you want me just to go ahead with a brief presentation?
Yeah, go ahead, Scott. Yep.
Okay. Again, my apologies. I am here this morning representing the numbered company, which is Apple Homes from Tavistock. They've now acquired the lands from the current property owner. The intent is to remove the existing buildings on site and create the 4 lots in total that Jeff had mentioned. And the purpose would be for the creation of single detached dwellings. The lands would have access to public water through the County of Oxford. And this is what allows the lots to be smaller than what is typically required. The County of Oxford has indicated support for the water service connection, which would require a County of Oxford official plan amendment, which we would seek immediately pending the successful completion of this process. As noted on March 18th, Perth East Council had reviewed and supported the consent application subject to conditions. There was some concern expressed at that meeting that only 3 lots should be created, or that this would create a precedent for other lot creation in hamlets and villages. And I just wanted to clarify that I believe the difference in this specific consideration is that these lots do have access to public water. So if someone was to try to do this in Millbank or some other place, for example, I don't think it'd be possible to do this just on the basis that public water isn't available. This is a special situation where we do have public water, and that allows for the creation of lots of this size. So I'm here today in full support of the staff report and recommendation, understanding the conditions have been slightly changed. I have reviewed all of the conditions, have no questions or concerns. Perth East Council is in support of this application, and Perth East Council has also approved the zoning bylaw amendment to allow for the lot size and lot frontage. So that process is also well underway. But if there is any questions or concerns from the committee this morning, I'd be happy to try and answer them. But again, here in full support, and thank you for your patience with my technical difficulties.
We've lost Chair Duncan. Councillor Trentowski, did you receive the email?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
So, is there any further questions for Mr. Patterson on this issue? Or any general questions for Mr. Bannon, or any comments? Last call, don't see anything. So if there's no other questions, then we have a motion in front of the committee that the Land Division Committee receives the application for consent to sever B60-24, B61-24, and B04-25 auto report, and that Land Division Committee approves the application for consent to sever B60-24, B61-24, and B04-25 submitted by Patterson Planning Consultants on behalf of Amy Otto for lands described as Part Lot 21, Lot H, Concession 5, Plan 329, Southeast Hope Ward, Township of Perth East, subject to the conditions in the report. Or that Land Division Committee receives the application for consent to sever B60-24, B61-24, and B044-25 auto report, and that the Land Division Committee denies the application for consent to sever B60-24, B61-24, and B04-25 submitted by Patterson Planning Consultants on behalf of Amy Otto for lands described, pardon me, as Part Lot 21, Lot H, Concession 5, Plan 329, Southeast Hope Ward, Township of Perth East. So looking to the committee to see which resolution they would like to adopt. Councillor Wilhelm, go ahead, please.
Yes, I would move that we approve the application.
Councillor Wilhelm moves to approve. Do we have a seconder? Councillor McKenzie, you so second?
Counselor McDermott, how do you vote?
No,
Counselor McKenzie,
Yes.
Counselor Wilhelm,
Yes.
Counselor Trentowski,
I vote yes.
that's 3 in favor.
So the motion carries. Okay, thank you. If we move on to our next item then, please.
We have Nathan here to present the next agenda item.
Good morning, committee members. I'm just going to try to set my screen up here to present. So this is on behalf of severance application B50 2024, and the owners and applicants the owners are Brian Angel McCracken, and the applicant is Scott Patterson from Patterson Planning Consultants. So 1 second here. Apologies while I got my screen set up here.
Technical difficulty seems to be our theme for the meeting.
Yeah, while we're waiting for Nathan to get set up, this is agenda item 5.2, application for consent to sever number B50-24, submitted by McCracken. Floor is yours, Nathan, when you're ready.
Thank you very much, Chair Trentowski. Can you see that on the screen now
Yes.
with the map? I think Scott's nodding his head yes. So we'll go
Yeah,
from
you're
there.
good, Nathan.
Thank you very much. So this is on request for a severance of the parcel. So the area is identified in North Perth. It is located at the kind of the northern end of the wall in Wallace Township, just to the west there. It's identified in the red. So the requested severance application is for and this has changed just slightly. I will note this for the committee. The request is to sever an area of approximately 29.9 hectares and retain approximately 30 hectares of land. So currently the retained land would include a house and a couple outbuildings, and I believe there is a small barn there. And then the proposed severed lands would be vacant. So there's just a report photo outlining the approximate area. The applicant has revised this slightly. So once again, this would be 30 hectares of retained land and 29.9 hectares of proposed severed area. Just a couple of images from the Highway 86 there. So this is the retained parcel, just showing the house and then the shed and the barn in the back with a couple of silos there for the Google Street View image. This is the proposed severed area. So this is vacant currently. Just for council or just for the committee's information. So this is North Perth does require a farm size of approximately 75 acres. However, it doesn't quite transfer. So we looked at the 30 hectare parcel. So the retained farmland will meet the North Perth requirement for retained lands to be 30 hectares in size. It does have a house on it. The requested sever area just slightly smaller than the proposed requirement in the bylaw. And then historically, there was a small portion taken out of the front. This is this 0.7 hectares of land with a house located on it. No concerns have been expressed by any of the neighbors or agencies. For North Perth or for council or for the committee's information, North Perth Council did support the application on February 24th, 2025. And this did include the provision to allow the applicant to retain the ability to have a dwelling on the severed parcel. So I'll go over, staff have requested that the severed parcel be rezoned to prohibited dwelling. However, North Perth Council did support it, and then the applicant has also requested retain the ability to put a dwelling on the severed parcel. As mentioned, the applicants have requested the ability to retain it on the severed parcel. The applicants are amenable to adjusting the lot size to meet the North Perth requirement for the retained parcel, and they've done so as part of their updated application. There would also be a rezoning requirement to address the lot frontage and reduce lot size should the committee decide to support this application also. Staff are supportive of the application as a whole. However, staff have requested that the reduced lot size be considered to prohibit a residence, as well as the zoning amendment to recognize the reduced frontage. Part of this is just based on the consideration that historically there was a severed parcel taken off, I believe back in the 60s or so, for a residence on there. Staff do note that it will be very close to the minimum lot size for the North Perth requirement as part of the zoning bylaw, so they're about just 0.1 hectares away. That's some conversion factors as part of that consideration for the committees. So staff are not supportive of the residence. However, staff are supportive of the severance as a whole going forward and requested that condition. So our recommendation is that the Land Division Committee receives the report and that the Land Division Committee supports the severance application as recommended by staff. Stop sharing here.
Okay, Nathan, just before I open up the floor, I just wanted to get clarification on one thing. So in the recommended action that's in the agenda, Perth County Planning is recommending that, or the recommendation brought forth by staff, does it not include the ability to build a house on the severed land, or does it still include the provision to build? I guess I wanted to ask for that clarification for the benefit of the committee.
Yes, to the chair. The recommendation by staff is to include a provision that the rezoning would be required to prohibit a house. This is still different than a single surplus farm dwelling, so I just want to outline that it's slightly different. However, staff looked at it based on the historic removal of that house from the property, so staff have requested that a condition go on the severed parcel to prohibit a house from going in there in the future. So the request would be essentially to remain as agricultural without the ability to put a house on.
Okay, thank you for that clarification, Nathan. And I see our chair has returned here, so I will turn the proceedings over to Chair Duncan. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Trentowski. Sorry about that, everyone. My computer had decided to reboot itself there. So I guess where we're at is, Michelle, we have people interested in speaking on this, and I think it's Scott for this one as well.
Correct. Yeah.
Good morning again, committee. Can you hear me? Matt, can you hear me? Chair Duncan? Yep. Perfect. Okay. Again, good morning. It's Scott Patterson from Patterson Planning Consultants here on behalf of Brian and Angela McCracken. As Nathan had noted, our original application submitted to the county was to seek a lot severance having 30.3 hectare retained lot and a 29.6 hectare severed lot. Staff had noted their concerns with the lot size being reduced and that not being able to support the development of a single detached house on that severed lot. So at the February 24th North Perth Council meeting, there was various options that were discussed. I tabled an amendment to increase the size of the severed lot to 29.9 hectares and keep the retained lot at 30 hectares. So the retained lot would fully meet zoning at 30 hectares and 225 meters of frontage. The severed lot would be 29.9 hectares and would require a reduced lot frontage through rezoning. Council ultimately discussed this at length, which Chair Duncan can speak to and confirm, and they supported the modification to allow the 29.9 hectare severance, and with the modification and the conditions to allow for a house. I believe the reasoning behind this was that it was very close to the 30 hectares being 29.9, and that there was no prohibition being placed on the severed lot to restrict agricultural buildings. So the provision of a house in support of the agricultural buildings was seen as part and parcel of what was being proposed. There is no guarantee that there would be a house constructed on the lot. basically on behalf of the McCrackens, we were just asking for flexibility to allow a house. It would all be subject to meeting minimum distance separation requirements. If a proponent were to acquire the severed lands, they would have to do those calculations, figure out whether a house is viable, and even figure out whether any agricultural buildings are viable, to be truthful. So it was just allow for flexibility moving forward. I believe North Perth Council saw the merit in that, and ultimately they voted to support the amended proposal, which is in their recommendations to the committee this morning. I did write a letter to the committee dated March 17th, noting our support of the North Perth Council recommendation and all of the conditions that they had included. And I'm here again this morning supporting that position. And just for reference, I know that staff had noted that there was a house that was already taken off this lot. That was over 50 years ago, and this is not a surplus farm dwelling severance. This is strictly a severance to create 2 farm parcels. So I don't think something that happened 50 years ago should be impactful on what we're proposing today. And we shouldn't be imposing the provincial planning statement regulations in the County of Perth official plan regulations regarding surplus farm dwelling severances when this is not what's being proposed before you. So again, here in full support of the North Perth recommendation, council recommendation, for a 30-hectare retained lot and a 29.9 hectare severed lot, and with the conditions that North Perth Council had recommended for committee this morning. And with that, I'm here to answer any questions from committee.
Okay, thank you, Scott. Committee members, questions, comments? Councillor Wilhelm?
I would agree with the Perth County staff. I know in Perth South, if this were to go through with the approval that you could build a house on, there are a number of properties that were severed back in probably 70s, 80s that they would probably apply for permits to build a house in Perth South. And I'm afraid we would be opening up the door to a lot of applications down the road.
Any other committee members with questions, or Councillor Trentowski?
Thank you, Chair Duncan, through you. I would concur with Councillor Wilhelm's comments. This would open up a Pandora's box of development in the rural area, and it would run counter to I think our draft official plan, what we outlined in there. It's not good planning in my view, not in the short term nor in the long term. And I would support the recommendation as presented by staff, agreeing with Councillor Wilhelm.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, I don't see anyone, so I'm just gonna let everybody kind of fill everybody in on how it was discussed at North Perth Council. There was quite a bit of discussion, and the reason North Perth Council decided to support the ability to put a residence on that is we looked at it as it's a farm parcel, the same as every other 75-acre farm parcel in North Perth would be allowed to build a house on a bare farm parcel. So we're not looking at this as a surplus farm severance in which we need to put a condition on there to prohibit another house. This is simply splitting 2 farms that were merged on title into 2 75-acre parcels. And this would allow not just a house, but other agricultural buildings. It would allow somebody to come in and purchase this, build a house, a barn, and start an agricultural operation if they so choose. So in that respect, North Perth Council didn't see the need to put the restriction to prohibit a residential dwelling on that 75-acre parcel. So that was the thoughts of North Perth Council, and that's what I'm going to leave it with. And I guess I will ask if there's any more questions or comments, and if not, we'll move to a motion. Councillor Wilhelm?
In North Perth's discussion, was MDS brought up and how was that going to be controlled if someone wanted to put up a barn on that severed vacant property?
Yes, we did have discussion on that, Council Wilhelm, and it would have any structures on that property would have to meet MDS rules and regulations.
Counselor Chantowski, did you have a question? I see your hand is raised.
Yeah, thanks. It's more of a comment. I think my concern is that there's already an acre, notwithstanding the comments from Mr. Patterson, the planner, there's already been land lost, taken out of agricultural service. And so there's that to consider. And then if this committee were to consider granting the ability to construct a residence subject to MDS calculations and other regulatory requirements, to me it just complicates the issue of losing agricultural land for residential use, especially when there's other residential options available in that area and in general. So those are my comments. Thanks.
Okay. If there's no more questions or comments, we have a couple of motion choices here. I think everybody's read the meeting package, so I guess I'm looking for what somebody would like to do with this. Councillor McDermott?
I'll take the bullet. I would support North Perth and their recommendations.
So you would support the application to sever without the condition to prohibit a dwelling on that parcel?
Yes.
Okay. Do I have a seconder for that motion? I'll second it to put it on the floor and we can vote on it.
How do you vote?
Sorry, Michelle, I missed your.
Oh, I'm sorry. Counselor McKenzie, how do you vote?
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear my name.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay. Counselor Wilhelm,
No.
Counselor McDermott,
Yes.
Counselor Trentowski,
No.
and Chair Duncan.
Yes. Okay, seems that motion has failed. So we have two other motions here as well. That the Land Division Committee receives the application for consent to sever and approves the application per the subject to the conditions in the report, or the Land Division Committee denies the application. Which one would we like to see moved here? Councilor Chantowski?
Okay, so I need to clarify again, if the motion is in support of the motion means that construction of a residence on the severed lot is prohibited.
I think that's what the
I believe that's what Nathan
conditions in the
has.
report are. Yes.
Okay, if that's the case, then I will make a motion to support that.
Okay, seconded by Councilor Wilhelm.
Counselor McKenzie, how do you vote?
Yes.
Counselor McDermott? No. Okay. Counselor Wilhelm,
Yes.
Counselor Trentowski,
Yes.
Chair Duncan.
No. Looks like that motion was carried, Michelle.
That's correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move along to reports, consent file status report, March 2025. Michelle will give us a brief update.
Thank you. We'll make sure, yeah, I'm unmuted. Okay, so since our last report and as of March 24th, we've had 4 new consent applications that are currently in process and 7 applications that were received before this date that are also in process. Now, excuse me, 9 applications were approved through the delegated authority process and 9 applications have received final approval for which a certificate of official was sent to the lawyer for registration. Currently, there are also 9 applications that are on hold until the applicant and or the solicitor can prepare the additional materials or studies that are required to move forward. Are there any questions?
I don't see any, Michelle. Thank you. So I have a motion. The Land Division Committee receives the consent file status report, March 2025 for information. Moved by Councillor Wilhelm, second by Councillor McKenzie.
Councillor McDermott, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor McKenzie?
Yes.
Councillor Trentowski?
Yes.
Councillor Wilhelm?
Yes.
And Chair Duncan?
Yes. It's carried. Thank you. Number 7.1 surplus farm dwelling report, Perth East resolution.
I can just share that that was just shared for your information. The surplus farm dwelling report that we presented at the February Land Division Committee meeting was shared with the all 4 lower tier councils, or will be shared. It was asked for to be put on their agenda, and Perth East shared that resolution back. So we thought we would share that with you all.
Okay, thank you. Do we need are we receiving that for information or just?
It's just an FYI.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, comments on that from any of the committee members? Councillor Trentowski?
Yes, through you, Chair Duncan. I appreciate and welcome Perth East Council's comments on the matter. I asked staff to provide me background information, again with the bylaw. Already familiar with the bylaw, but just asked for it to be sent again and reread it. And there is provision in the bylaw to consider other factors beyond what Perth East has indicated in their correspondence. And I'm cognizant of their concerns and consider those variables every time an application comes through. So just wanted to relay those comments to the committee and to Perth East. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Trentowski. Any other comments or questions about that? Okay, I don't see any. We'll move along. There's no appeals. Other business, 9.1, meeting location discussion.
So we had had this on the agenda last year and had decided that we would bring it back here for discussion again early in 2025. So I'll just say that previously, since I came, which was not long after COVID, this was the way that Land Division Committee has been meeting by video. Councillor Wilhelm had wondered if we should have a discussion about whether we go back to in-person meetings or continue to meet virtually, or if we do some sort of hybrid. So that is what we're going to discuss today.
Okay, thank you. Questions, comments? Councillor Wilhelm?
Yes, I always prefer an in-person meeting when possible, and I think today's technical issues are a prime example of where that would not be an issue if you met in person. However, I understand that it's difficult to travel any distance for a half hour, 45-minute meeting too, so it's really up in the air.
Councillor McDermott?
Yeah, I I like impersonal meetings too. But I agree that you know, for some of you guys to have to travel all the way to Stratford for you know, a half an hour or maybe. I think what we could do is if there's a lot of people who want to speak, that would be a time we would have an in-person meeting. But if it's like today where it's just the planner that's speaking, technical difficulties notwithstanding, that I would still be in support of a Zoom meeting.
Okay. Councillor Trentowski?
Yep, thank you through you, Chair Duncan. I guess my question is regarding parties that wish to speak to a matter before the committee. Obviously, the county planning staff and the applicant's planning staff will be involved. How soon do we know, or at what point do we know how many people other than the planning staff are proposing to come before the committee? Like, do we know a week ahead of time, or is it 2 days before? Like how?
So I can speak to that, Councillor Trentowski. So I usually take my cues from the planner as they are the ones who are receiving the comments from folks in opposition. So there have been times when a planner has said they think that the application was fairly contentious and suggested an in-person meeting. I send out the notice of application, or sorry, the notice of public meeting circulates 3 weeks prior to our land division committee meetings, but folks have until the Friday before to register to speak. So it can be hard to gauge when it's going to be in person or not, which is why I usually take the cues from the planner, because they often are having the conversations with the public that are saying they want to be there. So, for example, the auto one, we received several comments in writing, but nobody registered to come to today's meeting and speak. So there's really no threshold or recipe to know other than me taking the cues from the planner.
Okay, and if I may follow up, Mr. Chair, I would be inclined to give the chair the discretion on whether it's an in-person or virtual, on the provision that the staff can advise the chair in advance as much as possible on which kind of meeting would be required. I agree with Councillor Wilhelm. Today was a challenge. I was juggling 3 screens and having connection issues myself, so it's an in-person meeting would make the business of the committee flow a lot smoother in that regard.
Okay. Councillor McKenzie, do you have anything?
Well, I guess I was kind of looking at it maybe in a little different angle. Judging by the number of applications we had. And you can pick a number out of the sky, I guess, but if we had 3 or more applications that we were going to deal with, might warrant meeting in person. We had 2 today, and sometimes we only have 1. If it's just 1, I think certainly online is likely the best way to handle it. But I kind of agree with Councillor Trentowski. You know, I'll let the onus go on the chair and make the call. But you know, I guess I would be leaning by the number of applications that you're going to deal with.
Michelle?
Can I just add, Chair Duncan, another thing to consider is that prior to sending the notice of application, we have to know the location. So we have to make the decision on the location prior to me sending out the notice of public meeting. So that decision has to be made 3 weeks before. So the application, the number of applications is something I hadn't considered, but maybe there is a threshold there. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the recipe is, but just thought I would
Okay.
let you know that.
Counselor Trentowski?
Okay, thanks, Mr. Chair, through you, and I guess, in terms of location and whatnot, is perhaps the recipe, to have land division held at the same date and location as county council, and whether it's held after county council or within, I'll say within the agenda of county council. I'm not 100% sure, but at least you would have consistency in terms of location, and everyone everyone on the committee is also on county council and be at the same place at the same time. Just offer that for consideration of the chair and the rest of the committee members.
Okay. I guess my only hang up with that is we never know how long county council's going to run. Certainly it would definitely be more convenient. It would save driving time for everyone, you know. I guess something we could definitely look at. Is there any reason why we couldn't do that, Michelle?
Sure. I think we should have a conversation with the clerks, like with legislative services, with the clerk. Timing is one thing I'm wondering about. Perhaps it's at the beginning of council. Andrea might have more to say. I'm not sure.
Andrea, would you like to comment?
So through the chair, I was thinking the same thing, that it may be a bit challenging for timing wise. If we do it before or after council, I would hate for people to wait around for all of council if they have an item on land division, or alternatively, if we tried to have it before, that's a pretty early, we'd have to start at 8:30. Well, we start at 9 with county council. So we'd have to start at 8:30 and then make sure that we were done, or try our best to be done before council started. So that might be a challenge too, but obviously we're open to whatever the committee thinks is appropriate.
Okay, thank you. I will say that, and I'm sure Walter will remember as well, we had some lengthy land division committee meetings previous to COVID when we did them in person, when we had 3, 4, 5 applications on the agenda, and that definitely wouldn't work with a county council day at all, previous or after county council, just because of the length of the land division committee meeting at that time. So I'm not sure what to say about that. Councillor Wilhelm?
Yes, I like Dean's recommendation and kind of call the chair, but perhaps a conversation with Tyler and he maybe could shed some light on what the best way forward would be on that.
Okay. I guess we'll just leave it as we're going to meet virtually for the next meeting and have and maybe if Michelle can have some discussions with Tyler as to the viability of moving land division to same date as county council, I guess, and then we can have some more discussion from there.
I'm happy to do that. I can report back. We do have a meeting scheduled for the end of April. I think it's the 28th, and I know we do have one item on that agenda right now. So I can bring a report back for the next meeting.
Okay. Is everybody on the committee okay with that? Okay.
Thank you.
So we have no closed session reporting out. So our next meeting date is April 28th, 2025. I guess next I'll look for a motion to adjourn the Land Division Committee meeting at 10:25. Moved by Councillor Wilhelm, seconded by Councillor Trentowski.
Councillor McKenzie, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor McDermott,
Yes.
Councillor Trentowski,
Yes.
Councillor Wilhelm,
Yes.
and Chair Duncan.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, everybody. My apologies for my technical faux pas today. Have a good day, everyone.
Have a good day.
Take care.
Thank you,
Everybody have
everyone.
a good day. Take care. See you Thursday.